Hi there, my name is Toby and this is Body Efficiency Training. On this channel I talk about body dynamics and chi energy and how these two things work together. And this video is really the first of my lecture series. I'm going to be talking about chi energy, what it is and how it works. And this is the first one. And I'm calling this lecture series Magickal Science. Magickal Science with a K. Because magic is a real thing, it's a real feeling. Magic is really a feeling. I don't mean magic as in illusions or trickery. I'm talking about the feeling that we get. And that is real magic. Real magic is a feeling. We all love this feeling. We love going to watch Harry Potter doing the magic, but because we love the feeling of it. The only thing is we don't believe it's real. So it's sort of been sold back to us. You know, you can't have this magic, but if you buy a ticket and watch our movie for an hour and a half, you can have an hour and a half feeling of magic. But this feeling is ours. This feeling is the chi. When you experience chi, it feels very magical. It's got a feeling to it. And if you go walking in nature and you find a quiet spot and sit down, you'll feel magic in the air. This is a feeling. This is a feeling of the chi, and we want this. We want this. This will bring back a wonderful pleasure to living. We'll enjoy life again if we can get this magic back. But there's also a science to it. There's a science to this magic. We need to understand how it all works. How does the chi work? How does the universe work? And it's very different to the way we've been told. Very different to all the science we've been given. And in this first lecture, I'm going to be talking about what's wrong with modern science. And this lecture really, these lectures, you could say this is a new explanation of Tesla's physics. It's a different physics, Tesla's physics and Taoist philosophy. But in such a way that even a child could understand it. I hope to make this so simple that you can all get it and even a child could understand it. There's a simple logic to this. And if you understand it, you'll start feeling the chi. You'll understand what it is you're looking for. What is it we're training for? We're training for this chi and we need to feel it and understand it. So first of all, let's look at what we've got. We've got modern science, and we've been told a sort of story about how the universe works and how the world works and how we work in this world, and it's very materialistic. And I'm going to go against everything modern science says right now. So this is going to get pretty far out. So do bear with me. Even if you think I'm mad as a hatter, give me a chance. Just out of curiosity, see how far I'm going to take this, because I'm going to take this pretty far. So first of all modern science as we've been given is nonsense. It's wrong. And it's wrong because it's based on an assumption. And it's based on an assumption of materialism. Everything must be physical, must be real, must be manifest for us to have any science. So they've totally dismissed the life force. They've totally dismissed the non-physical aspect of being. We never hear anything about consciousness, awareness, or the life force in any of the sciences. Even biology, they don't talk about life. They're just looking at things. So let's start with physics. Well, physics is the first one because everything is really based upon physics. And modern physics now, everyone is excited with modern physics. We've got Einstein and we've got quantum mechanics. And even the alternative people are excited by quantum mechanics. But really it's still all nonsense. It's based on the idea that the world is made up of atoms, particles, matter. And we still haven't defined what matter is. We don't know what this matter is. We're just saying, well, there's matter and the world is made up of it. It's made up of these particles. And they have totally dismissed anything non-physical. But the interesting thing is, all modern physics is based on mathematics. It's based on mathematics. No one can deny that. And you ask any of them, you'll say, well, is mathematics physical? And they might think about it, but eventually you'll have to say, well, no, mathematics is not physical. It's not a physical thing. You can write it down, you can type it into a computer, but the actual process of mathematics is not a physical thing. It goes on in your mind, you can think about it, but even thoughts are not physical. You can have brain waves, but the actual thoughts are not physical. Where are they? It's the same with mathematics. It's not physical. And then you can ask them, well, is mathematics always true? And the answer is, well, yes, it's always true. Mathematics is always true. It's infallible. That's what it is by definition. It is pure logic. And then you say, well, if you believe in the Big Bang, let's say you believe in the Big Bang, which is no Big Bang, I'll come to that. But if you do, then you've got to say, well, is mathematics true before the Big Bang? And they'll have to say, well, yeah, mathematics is true before the Big Bang. Mathematics is always true. It means mathematics itself is outside of space and time. It's always true, and it's not physical. You can't really put your finger on what it is. You can write it down, but it's not a physical thing. So you've based your entire physics, your entire science on mathematics, which is not physical, and it's outside of all space and time, but yet you've completely denied the existence of anything non-physical and anything outside space and time. So you can't have it both ways. And then there's another question we've got to start with. You see, the question is, what is life? What is consciousness? We haven't even asked that question, let alone answered it. So you can't have a science unless you start with this first basic question, and we'll come to that. But let's break down modern physics. Let's just take, I'm going to take everything apart. All of the sciences, we're going to destroy them right now. So modern physics is based on this idea of materialism, matter, particles. And we've got quantum mechanics. Everyone's excited with quantum mechanics and general relativity. But again, this still boils down to particles. Everything, we want a smaller and smaller particle. But you haven't said what a particle is. You haven't said what matter is. You see, modern science has not defined anything. They have not defined anything. There's no definition. So what is matter? Matter. Well, we don't know what it is. Matter is something that takes up space, it's got volume, and it's got magnitude. Yeah, but you still haven't said what it is. Well, it's a substance that takes up some space. Yeah, you're just describing it. What is it? And then we talk about energy. Energy is another one. Energy. Well, we haven't defined what energy is. We talk about energy, but what is it? Well, we say energy is the ability to do work. Well, yeah, but that doesn't tell me what it is. It's like saying, what is energy? Well, energy is a horse pulling a cart. But that doesn't tell me what a horse is. So we haven't defined what energy is. So how can we talk about anything if we haven't defined energy or matter? We can't talk about anything yet. And then we go on to light. Now, whole of quantum mechanics is based on the idea of what is light. What is light? Well, is it a wave? They talk about a wave, or is it a particle? And they talk about a particle. Well, you can't say it's a particle because you haven't defined what matter is. You haven't defined what a particle is. Well, and then they say it's a particle with zero mass, so it hasn't got any matter to it. Well, then it's not a particle. You've just changed what you call a particle. And if you say it's a wave, well, you can't just say something is a wave. That's a meaningless statement. A wave is not a thing. This is a wave. But a wave is not a thing. It is what something does. It is an activity. So if you're going to say light is a wave, you have to say a wave of what? Or a wave in what? It's not. There's no such thing as a wave. So a wave of water. The water is waving. Now, Tesla said that light is a sound wave in the ether. Well, a sound wave is a pressure wave, but it's the same thing. If you say there's a wave, it's a wave in the ether. The ether is waving, and that is what light is. But light is not a wave, light is not a particle, and it certainly is not a duality. They've created dualities. Because you've got and paradox. There's so many paradoxes. They just come up with a new paradox and a new duality because it's based on nonsense. You started with assumptions that don't make any sense. Okay, none of these assumptions make sense, so you can't build a science on it. The problem is, you've got very, very clever mathematics. But mathematics is infallible, so mathematics is always true, but it's the way you use it. You start with an assumption, i.e. wave is a particle, and then you build some mathematics around it and see if it works. And they've got a certain amount of results, so they get so far, but they can only ever get so far. It's like Newton's laws of physics. Newton's laws are real, they're true, they work, but we now know they don't always work. Newton's laws do not always work. So Newton's laws are not laws, but the mathematics is infallible. So Newton's laws, they are true, yes, but also no, they don't work. So they can't be called a complete, they're not really a law, they're just engineering. Everything we've got now is engineering. Oops, how do you spell it? Engineering. So this is where we're getting confused. We've got engineering, not philosophy. You need philosophy as a thought. We need to think about this. But there is a real science. There is a real science which I'm going to work through in this lecture series. But this first one, I've got to break down what we've got. You see, we've got to break down what we've got and realise that what we have got is no good. We've got to start all over again from the beginning with this science. And there's another very famous thing that we all believe is the first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. That is energy cannot be created or destroyed. Well, we got that. E equals mc squared. Energy cannot be, well, this is energy and matter. So they're one and the same thing. Well, now you've really confused it because you haven't defined energy and you haven't defined matter, and now you're just saying they're the same thing. Well, okay. The thing is, energy, because you haven't defined it, you can't make up a law of thermodynamics because you haven't defined what this is to make up a law about it. But they're saying energy cannot be created or destroyed. Well, it's the exact opposite. Energy is always being created and is always being destroyed. This is how the universe works. The non-physical, non-manifest, the non-physical and the physical are always interplaying together. Non-physical is coming into reality and physical is disappearing back into non-physical. This is how the whole thing works. So I'm going to talk about this in greater detail. But the first law of thermodynamics is wrong because energy is always being created and destroyed. Things are appearing from the unmanifest and becoming manifest. That is being created. And again, I'm going to qualify these things in time in these lectures. But now, so already now what I'm pointing out is all these modern laws, all these things we've got, they're essentially based on an assumption, and that assumption is incorrect. And we can't really get any further in our science until we break that initial assumption. And now I'm not saying there isn't such a thing as matter. There is such a thing as a particle. There is a particle. But we've got to look at what we've got, you see. I'll just introduce it now. So we've got the ether. The ether, well, it's actually with an A. The ether is the underlying field. This is the crossover point between the non-physical and the physical. The ether is non-physical. You can think of this as a field of consciousness, a field of awareness. And this will become physical. So the ether will become the electromagnetic field. Electromagnetism. So there is one and only one field, that is the ether. And this is an infinite field, pure potentiality, non-physical. In here is mathematics. In here is all the non-physical things. This becomes physical as electromagnetism. Now, electromagnetism is the only manifest force. Modern physics thinks we've got four fundamental forces, which basically means they don't know what any of them are. If you're thinking about gravity acts upon matter. Well, we haven't defined what matter is, so you can't talk about gravity. You don't know what this is, so how can you say there's any force acting on it until you tell me what this is? This is irrelevant. So ether and electromagnetism, you can say, are the beginning underlying field of the universe. The ether is non-physical, electromagnetism is physical or manifest. We can do things with this. This starts to animate the universe. It's animated by electromagnetism and made up of electromagnetism. This is light. This is energy. This is a vibration, but it's a vibration in the ether. So the ether vibrates and this becomes electromagnetism. This becomes light. So if there's a vibration in the light, here we go, there's a vibration, there's a wave, but this is a wave in the ether. And at a certain frequency, there's infinite frequencies, but a certain frequency gets faster and faster and faster. At a certain frequency, it will create a standing wave, a sphere. And this standing wave is now a particle. This is a self-sustaining wave in the ether. So now we've got a particle here. So there is one particle and it's based on the standing wave of the ether, a standing wave of light. And they've proved this now. Very high frequency light will create matter. I think they've shot two lasers at each other and collided them and this created matter. But it means high frequency light will become particles. Well, a particle. There is only one particle. And again, I have to qualify that. This particle is the neutron. Neutron. Oops. And the neutron will decay to a proton. So really a proton is just another version of a neutron. These two things are the same thing, slightly different energy states of this one particle. I'm going to go into detail of this. So we have got something that I can call a particle. I will define a particle in this science, and I will tell you how a particle is created, and I will tell you how matter builds up from this one particle. And I will explain this with logic. So we will have a science. We will have a science. But for now, this might be utter nonsense, and scientists out there, you might be laughing at me already. But you've got to bear with me, bear with me. And if you watch this other guy, Ken Wheeler, is a very clever scientist, mathematician, and he explains this in all his videos. I'll leave the links below. But the point being is there is another science that explains everything we've got, but it will explain it better, and it will allow more technology to appear, a more holistic technology. But in my next lecture, I'm going to be talking about this, what ether is, what chi is, and how this actually happens. What is going on here? How can something unmanifest become manifest? So this is going to be in the next lecture. But for now, I'm still working on destroying modern science. So let's talk about the next thing. So modern physics then. Modern physics, nothing is defined. It's all based on assumptions, and these assumptions get crazier and crazier, and we all just believe them. And now we've got things like virtual particles. Virtual particles. There's not a particle, it's not even there, we've just made it up, it's virtual. You can't do that. It's like we're complaining about, oh, the old days we believed in the gods were doing it. There's a four-armed god made this happen. Well, that's the same as saying, well, it wasn't a four-armed god, it was a virtual particle. It's all the same nonsense. We need a logic, a real science, and I'm going to build it up in this magical science. But for now, we're still breaking down. So what next? Well, let me attack medicine. Medicine. We think we're living in a very advanced medical age. We've got such high-level medicine. Listen, we don't have any medicine. Modern medicine is not medicine. A medicine. Let's define a medicine. A medicine is something that will assist. It will assist the healing process. It will assist the healing process. The medicine that we are given does not assist the healing process. Let's take antibiotics. Antibiotics. Now, by definition, that means anti-life. It is killing something. You see, it is targeted killing. It's not assisting the healing. It is killing something. It's totally opposite. So modern medicine is actually this. It is targeted poison. Targeted poison. Every pill you take from the pharmaceuticals is some sort of targeted poison. It is to attack something, stop something happening. It is destroying a symptom. It's never helping the cause. So if you think you're taking antibiotics, that's going to heal me, it's not. It's just going to kill something in your body, and then you're still going to have to heal yourself. This you're going to have to do all by yourself. The healing is still left up to you, so you want to take as little of this as possible. This is highly primitive, highly dangerous, highly ridiculous medicine. Now, in the old days, in the Taoist philosophy, in ancient times, there's lots of ancient writings. They had very advanced medicine. They could do surgeries. They had anesthetics. And the stories of the ancient Taoist doctors, they were able to do surgery, and it was said that they could remove the organs, wash them in herbs, and replace them back. So they were given a complete cleanse to the body, and they had that level of skill that they wouldn't do any damage. So that would be assisting the healing. You're actually doing something that would assist the healing. You're helping to detox, remove the toxins. This medicine is increasing the toxins. You are adding poison to your system, which you're still going to have to heal all by yourself. So modern medicine is not even medicine. It is targeted poison. So get over that one. The same with modern diet. We think we're having a great diet. We've got a great diet. We worked it all out, worked out nutrition. How come most of the food we get now is what I call flavored poison? It's just flavored poison. There's no real food there. And why do they want to give us this? Well, there's a whole other reason why they want to give us this. And we'll come to that in time. But this is to do with our freedom, our independence, and our energy. And the people that are controlling the world, they need to have the power, so they don't want us to have this magical science. But we can have it. We can have it. So what else? Well, let's look at biology. Biology, same problem. Biology, when we think we're studying life, we're studying life. You haven't studied life. You're just looking at the after effects. You're just looking at things and categorizing things. You see, this is what I call, this is ornithology. You know, ornithology, I was a bird watcher. Okay, I used to watch birds as a child, love watching birds. But you're just going around with the binoculars, looking at the birds, and this, oh, I saw that one, I saw that one. I didn't really record them, but I knew in my head which ones I'd seen, which ones I hadn't seen. But there's no real science to it. I'm just documenting and looking at what I'm seeing. Oh, there's another one there, another one there. Biology is like a bird watcher, an ornithologist. They're just looking at things. Oh, I've seen another cell. Oh, there's this one. I've seen a red blood cell. Oh, now I can see a little platelet or something else. And this one seems to do this, and this one seems to do that. You're just looking at what's happening and recording it. And then you're coming up with some ideas. They do have ideas, but but the ideas are still based on physics and materialism, so there's no concept of the life force, anything animating this, anything behind this, something going on. So biology is not even a real science. I'm sorry, you're just bird watchers. You're just watching cells, the same business. And chemistry, well, chemistry is not much different either. Chemistry is really an extension of science. Chemistry is really an extension of physics. Physics is really, you know, chemistry is based on physics and the idea of the atom. So again, they're looking at substances, mixing them together, see what happens, and then working out some ideas based on atoms and electrons. And of course, they do get so far because their experiments. Listen, you can have a correct experiment. You can even have the correct results of that experiment. But you can still draw completely the wrong conclusion. You can still not understand what's going on. That's what we've got. We've got so far. All this is sort of like cooking. Yeah, I can mix these things and it works. Yeah, that one works, and you get a few ideas. But there's no real understanding of what's going on here. See, the combination of elements is really about frequencies and vibrations. Frequencies. Everything will have its own different frequency. And when you combine two things together, it will create another one. And this will have another frequency. So this is all about frequencies, and we'll come to that as well in time. And you have to understand how these frequencies interact, whether energy is released or not released or absorbed. But the same thing, chemistry is really an extension of physics, and it's a bit like biology. You're just looking at things and trying to work it out, but you don't really know what you're doing. Other things, well, we got history. History, again, nothing to do with science, but these are all the stories we've been told. History is his story. See, the education system was brought out a long, long time ago by big institutions, big families. I don't want to say the name, but the name begins with Rock, and they're a bunch of fellas, and they brought out the education system a long, long time ago. And there's another family that begins in R and ends in Child. They own a lot about this, the financial system. So everything about economics, history, money, all these are stories that we've been told. And I would go so far as that modern science is another story we've been told on purpose to keep this magical science away from us. And then you've got all different secret societies, haven't you? I don't know what that one is, but you know what I'm talking about. All these different societies will keep this magical science for themselves. They know it. And all these top people teaching us this materialism, in secret, they go and practice this magical science themselves. Because they know it's real, but they just want the power for themselves. We're not allowed to have it. But the good news is we can have it. We can get this all back in time. And it doesn't matter whatever nonsense they're doing. We can get this for ourselves and take control of ourselves. It's quite easy. We can get the power back. But we need to get the understanding back. And the first step in understanding is realizing modern science is not what it's cracked up to be. We're missing a big chunk of it. You see, physics and metaphysics should never have been separated. They're one and the same thing. And we need to bring them back together. And the way we bring them back together is through our experience. We also experience this. And that's the next lecture. The next lecture I'm going to be talking about chi, and I'm going to be talking about ether. What is it? What is the chi? What is the chi? What is the ether? What is the life force? The force in Star Wars, it is the same thing. And if we can understand this, we can start building a science from it. But this we can all understand. It's also intuitive because it's true. It will resonate deep with your subconscious mind. It will resonate with your soul. This is metaphysics. This is your soul. This is soul power. I also call this soul power. So chi is soul power. And again, I'll come to that. But it's holistic science. It's the science of life. And I used to call this also living energetics. I thought about this a long time. But there's another guy called Victor Schauberger. You can look him up, and he's written a book called Living Energetics. So I didn't want to use that same name again because he's used it. But a very clever guy, Victor Schauberger, look him up. Incredible inventions. He developed a flying saucer as well using vortex power and water. Very simple. We can all make this stuff. It's a different understanding of how everything works. It's more magical. You look up Victor Schauberger's technology. It won't make sense to modern physics. What are all these funny shapes he's making? No, they're not funny shapes. They're clever mathematical shapes based on natural magical science. And we'll come to all this form and geometry in time. But the first thing I've got to do is build up this understanding. What is chi? What is ether? What is the life force? So that will be the next lecture. Stay tuned. But there's more lectures coming. I'm going to take you through step by step. So I hope this made sense. Please do leave any questions or comments below. I do understand a lot of you may think this is nonsense, and you can let me know as well. I may be able to qualify some of the things I've said in the comments. But be patient, we'll get through these lectures, and hopefully, if you bear with me, you'll see that there is a logic to this. There is a logic, a common sense, and it makes sense. And it makes much more sense than the fantasy stories that quantum mechanics has been telling us. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Check out one of these other videos here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.